know, if they're put close enough together where they become effectively one sign, then we're gonna count them as one sign. But, yeah,
So
that's
who's
one of
gonna
those areas.
determine that?
What's that?
So who's gonna determine that, and what is the amount? You know what I'm saying? I know somebody could probably do that.
Yeah, because it works like a pixel on a screen. If you put enough small things together and you back
Right.
away, it's gonna look like one large sign, so.
We can get rid of that exemption and count every single little sign that's on a property, so when somebody's got, you know, something on the side of their house that says, you know, welcome, or the name of their family, or whatever it might be, the little security sign that's in the yard, that says,
Well, it's not for that, it's if we have more than 10 of them, or, you know, because isn't part of this take away from the clutter? And 45 of them, it's again clutter. So we have to limit that. Very nice. Good business.
and part of the other reason for that too was to eliminate our need to have to go around and measure every single little thing on a piece of property.
But a $30 permit would let me put up a lighted Merry Christmas sign
45 days.
for 45 days. Marvelous.
And
Still
obviously,
don't like it.
that can take place whenever. So,
Yep.
if I decide in,
4th of July.
or the 5th of July, it's going to be
Right.
Christmas, okay, just making sure.
Now, is there,
And that, again, to clarify, that's primarily for lighted signs. So
Right.
you don't need it unless you are trying to light your signs. Yeah, the decorations that don't have words on them are not considered signs and they're not registered. So,
So the guy in Riverwood that was in the paper last year still has to pay his $38 fee.
that's lighted signs.
Lights shining on them.
Otherwise you can allow lighted signs year-round in residential settings.
We don't,
So, I mean, that's the thing, is, you know, it's kind of like, we don't like the one extreme
right,
of too much regulation, and we don't like the other extreme of too little regulation, and we're stuck in trying to figure out balance.
So what would be wrong with allowing lighted signs year round? We limit the 60 watt bulb or 900 lumens or whatever.
Well, I think we have enough light, you know, now I don't live in a well-lit area, you know, but I would think that, you know, like someone with lighted street corners, and then having in addition to that, lighted neighbors' signs as well, that might grind on you after a while, I don't know.
there is no limit on when you can do this. There's a holiday for each day of the year. So, and you can't govern what you're gonna put on it, so something you almost have to allow year-round because you can't designate which holidays are more important than others. So, I don't see limiting it to certain holidays,
No.
how that works.
I think that was already reviewed before my time here. The
Yeah.
attorneys determined that it wasn't good. It wasn't gonna be legal to do that, so
Okay.
I didn't even try to go back to
Who enforces this?
It's driven by complaint, or if someone drives by that works for the city and they notice it, they should actually do something about it. Or else it's driven by complaint.
that. Ultimately, though, in terms of staff people, it's the zoning administrators
Okay.
responsible
Uh,
for it.
Mr. President, may I ask you a question about this 45-day waiver?
I see no harm in that. Go ahead.
What's the height limit? You're gonna change it because Mr. Bjerknes is, we're up beyond 4
Well,
feet.
there's no change in the height limits. They have to comply to the existing sign ordinances, so there's no exceptions on that.
If you wanted to
Size
allow
limits,
higher, if you wanted to allow more height, you'd have to change that. and specify.
and we'd have to allow more height for all the signs then, because then you're limiting freedom of speech for one versus another. So anyway, I think something like that has to comply with the ordinance that's set for signs in residential areas. Because I was thinking, I would personally, I think it'd be nice to see larger signs allowed at certain times of the year because we're accustomed to it, but you can't do that. Can we, or if somebody comes in for illuminated holiday sign, can we allow them to be larger, but then it'd have to be year-round for any holiday? So I guess that's a decision we have to make now. Any other discussion?
Is this where the audience can ask another question or two?
No, that opportunity, that's why we have it at the beginning. We take that under consideration, otherwise we could be up here debating all night. Right now it's between Planning Commission and, like I stated before, we're a recommending board. This is not the final say. It's going to go before the council, and as Ben said, maybe after we get through this and we give a recommendation, probably an attorney's going to look at it. So this is just a draft. And we had the public hearing, and then it's going to be straightened out from there, and then it goes before the city council. They'll make the decision.
Another
Sure.
public hearing, and then before the city council?
No, there will be no more public hearings.
Oh.
Hopefully. Yeah. Heard that before. Okay, any more discussion as far as the planning commission is concerned? Hearing none. All those in favor of presenting this and recommending it to the city council, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. This will go before the city council when it is ready. Okay.
Next meeting, the 16th.
Okay. That ends all of that. Is there, I'm gonna go on here and see what else we
You're
have.
at number 4 yet, so.
Number
Another
4.
Public hearing, Frank.
One more public hearing. Boy. This is
That's
gonna
on
be
overtime.
an amendment concerning the city code, chapter 11, about signs, ordinance, sign limitations in that place and other places. We're looking at moving them all into one area or deleting some. I opened the public hearing at 7:48. Letter of affidavit, I can't say that word tonight. Affidavit of publication, has that been given?
Yeah.
Okay. You can describe the proposal now.
Do you want me to go through each one, or?
No.
I mean, like I say, they're just little odds and ends essentially of things that were regulated in the zoning ordinance about signs. So eliminating them to avoid confusion.
It looks like they all fall under the new proposed changes for existing sign ordinance. That's going to be left alone, portions of that. So I don't feel we need to go through each one. It seems like some were repeated twice, so you kind of eliminated it. And then the other ones were moved over, so. Anyway, does anyone in the audience have anything to say pertaining to this? As stated before, you have 2 minutes and you can come up to the podium twice, state your name and address. And you're allowed to speak.
Yes. Okay. Question about the sign, you're deleting all where it says any written announcement, declaration, demonstration, display, illustration, insignia, or illumination used to advertise or promote the interest of any person when the same is displayed or placed out of doors in view of the general public and shall include every detached sign. I have a question about that.
Go for it.
Why is that being deleted? But I don't want that to take away from my public speaking time, so you can answer that when I get done here. Structure, anything erected, the use of which requires more or less permanent location on the ground or attached to something having permanent location on the ground. This shall include signs whose highest point is more than 7 feet above the adjacent ground surface. Why is that being deleted?
Robin, do you understand what the deal is? This is all getting moved into one section. So you're answering the same, this is all getting deleted out of the rest of the city code and all put into one chapter. So it's not
It's all
scattered through the whole
going
code
in the new
book.
sign ordinance?
Yes.
Hey,
Right.
Jeremy, can we let her speak,
Yeah,
please?
well,
that
we're gonna
right?
hear the same thing over and over, so.
Okay, I didn't understand that, I'm sorry. There's a prohibition, no sign shall be affixed to any wind energy, conversion systems or meteorological tower, except as may be required under state or federal law. Are there any now, at present, on any towers or any signs? Because I think there are.
Do you want an answer?
Yeah, I'll sit down. Does that include the water tower? Is the water tower sign not legal? And I have one other thing to say since my time
Okay,
isn't
just
up.
wait a minute.
There's a Rexall sign or mural.
Wait a minute, please. You have to be up there.
Okay, there's a Rexall sign and a Pete and Joy sign, or else you're calling them a mural, and I believe they had a complaint a while back, and I was told they were murals. Now, if they're murals, they're a problem, because you have limited the sign space for those murals, and they don't qualify. So you have a problem with those. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, anyone else wish to speak? If not, Robin, were you gonna take another 2 minutes up there?
Let's see.
Okay, let's go.
Yes, I have one last question I'd like to ask. Thanks for reminding me I had one more thing to say.
Thank goodness.
I would
Don't
like
wanna
an
take away your freedom of speech.
That's right. I don't like when that happens. I would like to ask a clarification on a question I asked at the last public hearing, and that is what the reason was for the mailbox and newspaper receptacles being deleted, because the zoning administrator, Ben Olson, said that it would have something to do with the postal regulations. I looked them up. In fact, I have them right over there, and there's nothing addressing the legal newspaper receptacle I have attached to my tree and my 2 extra mailboxes that are now legal. And I'd like a clarification of why they were deleted. And I would like a clarification also on this Lindbergh Lions display. Does the fact that the Lindbergh Lions now has a display on city
This
property?
is not pertaining to this item we're talking about.
Yeah, this falls
moving.
into the sign signal, all the first one that I read, it has to do
Okay,
with
you
the
see it
Lindbergh
that
Lions
way.
display. Can that display now legally be put at the school again with the Christmas signage up on the, way high up on the building?
It's up to the school.
Yeah, schools are exempt.
Because they're
Said that.
exempt, so they don't need to be at Lindbergh Lions anymore, or Lindbergh Park.
But
Well,
who says the
Liberty.
school wants that there? That's probably why it was moved off. It would be inclusive.
Okay, and I have one more question. How does the person apply for, or request to have a display on city property?
That's probably something not to bring up during this time. You can
Okay,
go
well, I
and
couldn't
to
speak
somebody
before
at
to ask my
City
question,
Hall.
so I'm using my free speech now to do that.
Okay.
And I would like clarification before the meeting is over, so that everybody here can know the answer to that.
City Hall, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday,
Yeah, we're
except for legal
we're the
holidays.
planning commission here, we're dealing with just what's before us, we don't have all that information. That has to come from City Hall. If it was pertaining to something we're discussing right now and somebody actually wanted that information, then we'd be asking the same question from the people up at the office, so. Anyway, Anyone else out there want to speak?
Get to the ladies in the back.
Okay, hearing none, I close this public hearing at 7:55. It's opened up to a motion amongst the planning commission.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Pretty simple, cleaning up all codes, ordinances.
Just to be clear, there were a couple of, not everything was a deletion. I noticed there were a couple of additions. Specifically, in the definition of structure, I think it's our third page in. That's an addition, correct?
Yeah, anything that's in red lettering that's not crossed out.
So we've got some red lettering that's got line through it. But on the bottom of the third page, that appears to be in addition to that particular language. And likewise, I gotta go back in here quite a ways. There's at least one more spot that I thought was,
3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th page, there's a little bit of chapter 530 of the city code.
yeah,
Right here, second, last page. Yep.
signs. Yeah, almost second to, and on the very last page, there was some additional language. So it isn't all deletion and moving. There was several pieces of additional language.
Right.
Aside from that, the deleted language was moved to where?
Well, I'm not gonna say it was moved word for word over to the sign ordinance, but
It was either moved or deleted because of redundancy.
right, and mostly I would say it was, if it was deleted, it was because it was redundant or confusing or possibly conflicting with the sign ordinance, so
All right,
we just removed it.
thank you.
And as far as the parts that are addition, were they in the ordinance that we just recommended to go before the council?
The things that were in additions would stay in the zoning ordinance, and we're just trying to clarify that, mostly when we get into these wind towers or cell towers, it had to do with leaving in sections that said you're required to have a sign that says the name of the owner of it, or emergency contact, or whatever it might be. We felt like that was either because it's required by federal law, that those need to stay in there, or they have to do with safety and those kind of things, so.
I would like to, well, this probably, I hope I'm on track here, one question about mailboxes. Postal Service today looked at if you put 40 mailboxes across the front of your property, are they all considered Postal Service mailboxes? Just because it's shaped like a mailbox doesn't necessarily mean that's what its purpose is. You know what I'm saying? I think U.S. postal mailboxes have to be somehow marked as that.
I'm not gonna claim to know those rules inside out, and I have tried to research that. From what I can see, the Postal Service does have requirements for mailboxes that are postmaster approved, and they stamp, something in them, so when you go and buy a mailbox at a store, if it's acceptable to, if it's legal, if it meets the standards of the postmaster to accept mail in it, or have mail placed in it, then it's gotta have that stamp. And if it doesn't, then it's not a legal mailbox to put mail in.
And the mail service will not, if you attach it to your house, they would require it to be out by the road. That's something that maybe, I don't know if it fits into this whole sign ordinance or not. If it's something you feel you need to research before this goes before the council, I'll leave that up to you.
Yeah, we looked at that. There was some comment that the intent of that mailbox exemption was for like the corner mailboxes.
The big green ones, the blue ones.
Big green ones,
Okay.
not individual ones. I don't know if that was true or not. That was one comment.
Okay.
I
Then I'm
think
not
we just
gonna
felt
say.
like, if, you know, like, all of the attorneys say, be careful about how many exemptions you put into your ordinance. We felt like that one wasn't necessary and could just lead to issues, so why don't we just count them as signs for our purposes? If somebody posted it on the sign.
That's all I have. Anyone else? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Looking at our agenda, I don't see anything else on there for tonight. Is there any, there's a discussion for work plan for future ordinance updates. Do you have anything for us?
I don't really have anything on except that.
Okay. Our next regular meeting is going to be Monday, December 14th, 2015. At this time, I entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second? Motion made, second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? None? Okay. Carried, it's done.